This episode is produced and made possible with the help of Raycast Media.
Si le gustaría escuchar un episodio en español, por favor escuche el siguiente episodio.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Hector Muñiz, and I'm part of the team here at the Economic Growth Business Incubator, EGBI. Before we get started, just a brief introduction. I am from El Paso, Texas. I studied at the University of Texas at Austin with a background in finance, economics, and business. La Incubadora podcast is part of the EGBI team, a local nonprofit with the mission to provide training, coaching, and support to aspiring and existing business owners who face barriers to growing a successful business. The podcast is born out of need to put in video and audio a lot of the success stories that we see at the business incubator here. We also want to answer frequently asked questions and connect small business owners with the resources to succeed in business on your own time and wherever you are while you have access to a mobile device. For the past 20 years, EGBI has worked to make Central Texas a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community where economic mobility is an achievable dream for everyone. This year marks 2 decades of EGBI serving Austin's small business community. What began as a partnership between the Housing Authority of the City of Austin and the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has evolved into an independent organization that empowers community members to transform their ideas, talents, and dreams into thriving businesses. In this episode, we're joined by Luis Delgado, an EGBI alumnus and current board member, to discuss the incredible impact the EGBI has made over the years. Together, we'll celebrate the organization's growth and explore how it continues to support and uplift local entrepreneurs. Luis Delgado is a dedicated member of the Austin business community with a rich background in technology and finance, raised in Mexico City, and a graduate of the University of Texas at El Paso. Luis founded the Critical Update Inc. in 2003, a company focused on supporting small businesses through technology. His journey with EGBI began as a client, and his passion for creating community connections and supporting local entrepreneurs led him to join the EGBI board. Today, Luis is not only a successful entrepreneur, but also a key advocate for EGBI and the community. When he's not working or volunteering, Luis enjoys spending time with his 2 children and meeting new people over a cup of coffee, always eager to learn what drives local business owners. Well, without further ado, I have the pleasure of welcoming Luis to the conversation. So, Luis, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I want to welcome you back again. I know this is your second podcast. How have things been since the last time we spoke in the podcast?
Well, it's been amazing. Of course, I've been to a couple of events that EGBI and the Chamber put together, the Hispanic Chamber put together, and just the energy and seeing all the work that you guys are doing is really impressive and inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you as well, and thank you for your time. So without further ado, Luis, I want to start the conversation by asking you, can you start by telling us a bit about your journey as an entrepreneur? How did your early experiences shape your approach to business?
Well, I'm going to go way back, back to when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I remember my uncle had fruit trees in his backyard, and he would get a bunch of pears and figs and apples. And one day he decided it'd be a good idea for me and my cousin to go to one of those outdoor shopping malls with a little red wagon and sell fruit. And I was all over that. I got a kick out of that. And I would get a nickel out of, I don't remember. I think it was a nickel per bag that I sold. And I would go to anybody and talk to them and try to sell fruit. And then from there, in my teens, I actually worked at flea markets, selling jackets and tennis shoes. And at one point, I was working with a chemical company that had Polish cream for cars. And I was probably 17 years old, standing in front of a room of a bunch of used car salesmen and managers pitching, chemicals. Then I got into the insurance business and did that for a little while. Started learning about, reading books about business, about sales, about personal development, really got into that personal growth and how it affects business. And then in '95 we moved to Austin after I graduated from UTEP and got married. And when we moved, I was still in the financial services business, starting to build my agency, and it was going okay. But there was something that just didn't feel right. So I had an opportunity to join a local credit union in their IT department, and I thought, man, that's a really good opportunity. So I took it, and learn about corporate IT and how technology can empower a business to grow, and the impact it touches everything. I mean, this is 20 years ago. And from there, I started getting referrals and people asking me for help. And I got a referral to Houston Tilson College for a project replacing multifunction printers on the network. And there, I mean, from that referral, we actually had to become a viable company. I hired my first employee, and we've been running ever since.
No, that's great, and I'm amazed that you were able to kind of get into this technology business since I believe you mentioned 20 years ago. I do think that security is often overlooked, and it's very much needed, especially with every business now. You see it everywhere in newspapers and in articles that some information leaked or there's been a breach in a database somewhere, and
Right.
then people kind of get that anxiety of, okay, so what do I do now?
Well,
But
and as a real quick side note, we're actively reaching out to people right now, offering to do a penetration test and a security assessment, because people are getting attacked left and right, as you know. But most people are ignoring and thinking that they're not in the crosshairs, and everybody's in the crosshairs. If you have a computer, you have internet, you're on the crosshairs. So we're trying to get ahead of that and offer that service. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just trying to make people aware that this basically, I can show you how hackers are trying to exploit your business today with just a couple of scans. So that's one thing that we're actively trying to do right now.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Luis, I do want to ask you, what led you to become involved with EGBI, first as a client and then as a board member now?
So I was thinking about that question, and I'm a highly relational person. I love people. I love connecting with people. I love building relationships. And in 2007, actually EGBI was not in existence. It was the Hispanic Institute of Technology. It was Hispanic Institute of Technology, something else. I can't remember the whole thing. But the executive director at the time had their very first class in 2007, and he wanted me. We were friends, and he wanted me to be in the class. And I was like, man, I don't know about that. And he kept insisting, and of course, I wasn't going to say no to my friend, so I took that class, and actually I learned a whole bunch, which little humility goes a long way. I've been in business for 3 or 4 years by then, and I thought once you're in business, you kind of know what to do, and it's never been the case actually. I still every class that I go to, I learn something. But I took that class with him, and then after that class, I went out and did some things that I learned and saw them work, and I kept going back, and he coached me through the process. And then of course Barbara and Al joined EGBI, and I worked with them, and I saw them how they ran the organization, and that was really helpful for me because I saw a lot of the things that they were doing that I wasn't doing, and I was thinking, how is it that a nonprofit is working this way, and I'm a for-profit business and I'm losing money? That doesn't make any sense. And so I started seeing some of the things they did. Barbara and Al were really helpful in answering my questions, and then giving me support. And from there, I started some other classes. I don't know how many classes I've taken at EGBI, but I've taken a bunch of classes at EGBI, and it's been very helpful every single time. I'm talking to somebody, some other business owner in a whole different industry, and we always learn something from each other because we all have a lot of the similar problems. So that, of course, keeps me coming back because I love the community. I love being in the room with people that are entrepreneurs. I love how everybody wants to help each other. So that, it was for me, it was a logical next step to stay involved with the organization. And in 2017, Al Lopez actually invited me to join the board. And my first thought was, well, I got nothing to offer. What am I going to offer to EGBI as a board member? And the board was really helpful in providing me guidance and support as well. And actually served as board chair a couple of times. And it's been a really cool ride.
Wow. Yeah. No. Thanks for sharing. And I did kind of want to ask you this. You kind of answered my next question, which was going to be, how did EGBI kind of support you in those early stages of your business? You mentioned you took some classes and and became that asset to the community that we strive for every business owner to be. But also, what resources or guidance did you find the most valuable as you took those classes or as you worked with EGBI?
Right. For me, it's the staff at EGBI at all different stages has always been amazing. You can feel the love that the staff has for us as entrepreneurs, and the love for the work that is done and the mission for EGBI. So of course that's incredibly inspiring, but it's also really valuable for us as clients, because EGBI is not just selling something, right? EGBI is not preaching to people or talking to people. EGBI is helping us, coming alongside of us, and helping us build sustainable businesses. I think the most valuable resource over these 20 years has consistently been the staff. Also, the classes have always been good. They've evolved. They've always been valuable. There's been different ways that the classes have been structured, like 90 Days to Success, and now the accounting classes, and all these things have been changing and shifting and adjusting to the clients, which is extremely important. So at a personal level, I think the most valuable guidance for me has been, I can go to the office today, talk to Larissa, talk to David, talk to anybody there, ask them questions. I can pick up the phone and call them, and they can point me in the right direction. I like having somebody that I can just pick up the phone and call, or somebody I can stop by and visit and share what we're struggling with or what we're thinking about, and then getting some guidance and getting a separate perspective from somebody that sees the whole business ecosystem in ways that we're never ever going to be able to see it as business owners.
No, I agree, and we do like to keep our doors open here for everyone, whether they walk in or they give us a call. We do like to have those doors open. Right. And going back to that point of what you said, that classes have been evolving, like the accounting class, bookkeeping. How do you feel the organization has evolved over the past 20 years to better prepare business owners for their entrepreneurial journey?
Well, it's, being involved with EGBI since 2007, I've seen the evolution, the maturity of the organization, and the impact. Back in the day, getting a contract from the city of Austin would have been pretty much unheard of. Today, EGBI gets contracts with not just the city of Austin, but I know that there's other cities that are reaching out to EGBI because they know the work that EGBI does. So that's a huge pat on the back for how the organization has developed. Also, back in the day, nobody really knew who EGBI was. Today, you can talk to a lot of people, and people have heard of EGBI. EGBI is winning awards. The staff is being recognized, winning awards as well. And it's very inspiring. I mean, to me, I'm hugely inspired by the work that EGBI does, the impact in the community, and being able to see it is just extremely rewarding.
Thank you, and from the previous events that I've been, I've also seen you there, like our last Lunch and Learn with business taxes. So, just staying part of the community and being active really goes a long way for business owners.
Right.
My next question to you is, what role do you feel EGBI has played in creating economic mobility for families here in Central Texas?
I've seen that one too, many times. I've seen small companies, for example, a drywall person that just they know how to do the labor, and then the wife is trying to support them, but they don't know how to run business. I've seen those companies become very successful, providing for families, providing for opportunities for their children, and building sustainability with the guidance of EGBI that they normally wouldn't. Businesses like that normally wouldn't know where to go or how to find that kind of support. So seeing EGBI step into that gap and creating programs and creating the community where business owners can come in, even if they don't have a clue, if they don't speak the language, if they don't speak English, that role that EGBI has taken is very hard to replicate, which in a way is good because that means EGBI can continue to grow. But in another way, it's bad because there's a lot of people out there that need the resources and the support that EGBI provides, and they don't have access to it. Maybe because they're not in the Austin Metro or whatever. But I think EGBI has evolved into a really well structured support community that has continuous wins. I mean, you can talk to people that graduated from classes, the last 2-3 classes, and you can see their progression and how things are improving. Now, one of the things that I've mentioned before, and I don't think you've heard me say this, but one of the biggest things that I believe EGBI can provide is help somebody decide whether going into business is the right move. What I mean by that is there's a lot of broke people out there that think they have an idea, they're going to hang their shingle, and suddenly people are going to be calling and the money's going to flow. And that's not the way things work. So they end up going into debt and broke and, making bad decisions. And it's brutal. So for me, if somebody can talk me off the ledge before I jump and take a dive into a shark-infested water, I think that's valuable. And EGBI has done that in the classes. I know people that had a business plan idea, they were going to run with it, and then during the classes they figured out, you know what, we're not really ready for this, and I know that saves marriages, that saves people from bankruptcy, and it's incredibly valuable, and you don't hear that from any reports or anything like that.
Yeah, and I agree. We do have the client's best interest in mind if they want to start a business, but maybe after working with them, the thing that we always want to make sure is that every business can be, 1, profitable, 2, sustainable, and 3, an asset to the community. A lot of times if they're not sustainable, that's when we may ask them to reconsider or see how we can work on the business plan to make it a reality and make sure those things don't happen.
Right.
And Luis, as a board member, which new programs introduced in the past 2 years are you most excited about, and why?
You're assuming that I remember all the programs that have been introduced in the last 2 years. There's been a lot of stuff. Larissa, she never sleeps. I mean, you guys are super busy, which is amazing. But I think that the accounting program, I think, is personally one of the most important ones, because I've struggled multiple times finding the right bookkeeping service, knowing what they're doing. I got a degree in finance from UT El Paso, but I'm not an accountant. I don't. In fact, I hate administrative work. I despise it. But if I'm not up to date on what's happening with my books, that's an easy path to bankruptcy or shutting my doors. So I think from the program perspective, that particular program teaching people how to do accounting, even if you don't have to become an accountant, you just got to understand what's happening with your books, but you can see the trends and look at how the health of your company is, by looking at your reports and also keep other people accountable. There's, in my business, I talk to people that, somebody steals from them, somebody, breaches their data and all that stuff. Well, that happens a lot in accounting, because if I'm the accountant and I'm controlling all the numbers, I can hide stuff. So if the owner doesn't know how to keep me accountable, if I'm a bad person or I have bad inclinations, I can take advantage of that person. I know clients that have lost $60,000. I know clients that have lost way more than that. It's just, you have to know what your books are doing so that you can plan for the health of your company, and also make sure that somebody's not pulling a fast one on you. So I think accounting series is to me one of the most valuable ones.
And I agree. I may be a little biased here because I also have a degree in finance.
Yep.
But yeah, I think with bookkeeping, it's important to know your financial reports, do your financial audits, make sure how the business is doing.
Right.
Touching again on your previous point that a lot of people do this to make sure that they can pay their bills. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is sustainable, and you definitely want to keep your business protected from like a bad accountant or any bad actors that deal with your business.
Even if they're not ill-intentioned, one time, this was early on, about 2008, we actually engaged with a full-service accounting firm, very expensive firm. But the month that I signed them up, I doubled my revenues. So that was one. But the cleanup process cost me a bunch of money, like several thousands, because the previous person was one of those, I'll work on your books part-time, and they did not know what they were doing, and I was too busy trying to run the company, not paying attention to that because I trusted them. And that's happened more than once, unfortunately. So I think that's something that business owners have to prioritize. You don't have to become an accountant, but you got to know what your books are doing, because ultimately you're the one that, the feds are going to come knock on their door, and you're the one responsible. So make sure that you know what the heck you're doing and go to these classes that EGBI offers.
Right. Got to keep Uncle Sam happy.
Yeah.
And well, Luis, as we wrap up our conversation, I do want to ask you one last question. What advice would you give to small business owners looking to connect with community resources like EGBI to make this dream or idea come true?
Well, that's an easy one. If I were talking to somebody, which I usually, every time I talk to somebody, I usually tell them about EGBI. I tell them, make the call, make an appointment, go to the event, spend some time with the other business owners, feel the energy. Like I said, you can't go to an EGBI event and not feel inspired, not feel the positive energy from all the people that are there with ambitions, with vision, with dreams, with goals. It really just right now, I'm feeling it. It's really hard to describe until you experience it. So if you're thinking about a business or you're in business, go to the events, spend some time, get to know what's available. And then, more importantly, once you become involved as a client or as a volunteer, make sure that you also give back to the organization. For example, when Al invited me to the board, I didn't really think I had anything to offer. But as we have been on the board, I bring a perspective that the banker doesn't have. The legal team, they don't have the same perspective that I do as a client, as a business owner. We look at budgets differently. We look at opportunities differently. So what that told me was, I know we all have something to contribute, and a lot of us think that we have nothing to contribute, but that's bull. It's always been bull. It'll always be bull. We have something to contribute, and we have to be able to put a little piece of the puzzle into it, because then it creates a better picture for the whole organization. So I would encourage people to get involved, volunteer, ask about the board. We're looking for board members. I think we still have 3 positions. we're looking for board members. Clients would be fantastic because we can bring that different perspective, and it helps. Sometimes we get into some really great debates during the board meetings because we can see the whole picture from multiple angles, and if we create a little echo chamber with just a certain type of person, that doesn't lead to the kind of success that EGBI has seen. So we want to continue that and have a larger impact in the community. And the only way that happens is having the community involved in becoming part of that impact.
Right. No, I agree. Attending those events, talking with everyone, you never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to learn, and maybe how you can be part of the community. And outside of the events coaching too, maybe sometimes someone thinks they have a business idea that may not work, but then after talking to the coaches, maybe it can work, and maybe we can connect them to someone else, another business owner that can contribute to their business.
Or you need funding. That's the other thing, right? You guys have connections
yes.
with lenders. That's useful.
Pretty useful. Well, I would say that's all for today, Luis. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we hope you learned a little. I hope the viewer learned a little more about EGBI's history today. It's our pleasure to serve our small business community, and we hope to see it in our work and impact. Thank you all for listening in and being part of our community. We love what we do because of you. And as always, remember that La Incubadora podcast is part of the Economic Growth Business Incubator, a business incubator and coaching partners with barriers to achieving success. If you would like to learn more about Economic Growth Business Incubator services, please visit egbi.org, and we hope to see you soon. Luis, before we disconnect, what's the best way people can reach you and your business?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on the website, thecriticalupdate.com. We have a contact us page there. Or you can leave me a note at the EGBI office. I'll pick up the note and we can have coffee or lunch or something. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, Luis, for your time. I hope the viewer at home also has a great, wonderful day. But that will be it for today. Thank you once again.
Thank you.